There we go. All right. I am recording.
And anytime now, yes. And I am now recording as well.
Nice. All right. Well, hello, everyone. This is Terry and Fen. Fen and Terry. And we both watched Markiplier's Iron Lung movie, and we're going to do a review. Ain't that right, Finn?
Yes, we're going to do a review of The Iron Lung and Markiplier's new movie, and we're going to give you guys our thoughts, just in general, what we thought about it. If it was any good, it was.
It
Go
was
see it. It's
very,
in
very good.
theaters for another week. And yeah, it's good to see movies like this.
All right.
So, Tats,
Mhm.
what are your thoughts? I guess we want to do a spoiler section?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, this is a
We're
review. Well, let's see.
professionals.
Um, I think we should probably do a spoiler section after. So let's
Yeah,
do
yeah.
let me say this, for a non-spoiler section. It's a very faithful uh it's a very faithful was it what's the word? Transformation, adaptation, that's the ward. It's a very faithful
Adaptation.
adaptation. PlayStation.
We are all the lizard from that one D&D thing at PAX. Lizard who only spoke in words that had sion in it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and do our thoughts here, and then we'll do a spoiler section afterwards.
All right. So my thoughts on it, it's a very faithful adaptation from a video game into a movie. And when I say that, I mean that he has taken the spirit of the game, the environment of the game, and the story of the game. He's expounded on it a little bit within the confines of this universe. And his acting, his drama, the entire film, it takes what it is and adds a lot of suspense to it. And he kind of takes a few liberties that I think are well within the confines of the movie, uh, with him introducing new little areas around the submarine, which could be a spoiler right there, within the lung, uh, that you don't see in the game. In the game, you're basically confined to just one area. It's like a room, and that's it. As far as I know, I haven't actually played the game, but I saw his update. I saw Markiplier's playthrough of Iron Lung. I saw his update. So
Yeah.
I would say it's a very faithful adaptation. It was expounded upon in a way that continues to do the game, the source material, justice, and doesn't kind of mutilate it or bastardize it in any way. So it catches a lot of that. You do get to see a lot of the imagery that's in the game. Uh, on my screen, you can see from basically one of the posters, you see the ocean of blood. You see the gigantic eye, and the gigantic eye is one of the big jump scares in the movie, big visual ones. Also in the game, and uh, you gradually get to see things happen. So the movie progresses in a very faithful way, similar to the way the game does, but he also adds a lot of really cool things, such as him being brought out of this ocean of blood you can see in the poster here. And he speaks to people that you kind of get to speak with them a little bit in the game as well, but there's more interaction, and I think that's actually where a lot of it shines, is these little bits of extra detail that he's added with like these characters. They're going through the storyline that's presented in the game, and they're expanding on it a little bit, but it still makes sense. And the actions that they have in response to some of the things he does makes a lot of sense. So if you've played the game and you liked it, definitely go see the movie because it's so well put together, uh, and it continues to be faithful. A lot of people that I've seen have said, how does he take a 40-minute game and expand it to 2 hours? And a lot of the
Honestly.
reviewers will make it sound like he's just sitting in the chair doing nothing, looking at some logs, looking at papers, putting coordinates. It's literally just a game slowed down by like three times, like a third of its speed, and that's it. Now there's so much more. There's a little bit of the gameplay in there, but he stretches over that, and then he has a lot of his drama, a lot of the interaction with other people, a lot of the crazy shit he's got to go through just to try to make the storyline that's in the movie and not so much in the game uh, be able to happen. Because he's going around, he's hitting the button, he's trying to get the button for the camera to stay on, just take continuous photos so he can not only see in this dark ass sub, but also, get footage and everything for people. There's a whole lot that goes on to it, and it actually adds to the action, adds to the suspense. And if you're like awake and invested in paying attention, you're kind of wondering, what is he doing? Why is he doing it? And if you've already played the game and gotten into the lore of it, you know what he's doing, you know why he's doing it, and you know why it's so important. And it just becomes like this oh shit moment when everything starts going bad, and you see the way he's interpreted it, Markiplier's interpreted it, and it just is so good. And I think that's as much as I can say and blabber on about without it becoming a spoiler. So I'm gonna give it over to Finn before I start telling how I felt about it. And that would even go into like spoiler territory, I think. So
Yeah,
Finn, go
so
ahead and
the
take it
I
away.
yeah, so the Iron Lung movie, it's actually really good. It's one of those movies where you kind of, in a way, wish that more of these kinds of films would come out because, to put it succinctly, I think Hollywood, when it gets a hold of a video game franchise, they tend to infantilize the franchise. Just look at the Borderlands game, right? We'll look at the Borderlands movie.
That
It's
was
a movie
bad.
that is built around, like, it's a game franchise that has psychos in it. They're doing all kinds of things I can't talk about on YouTube to people off screen, and just killing people is the least horrible of the things that they do. Because they got to reproduce somehow, right?
Yeah.
You get the what I'm getting at here? So there's all kinds of horrible things going on there, like Big G, if you get what I'm saying. And they infantilize it into this just absolutely idiotic thing where all the characters are stupid. Iron Lung does not do that. Iron Lung has our protagonist, played by Markiplier, the convict, as he is called, and they
Simon.
don't. That's a spoiler, bruh. And and so they do a good job of setting up the initial story where we're told the beginning about how the stars just winked out. We're told about this quiet rapture. We're told all this stuff like in the first 5-10 minutes of the film, I think. And
Mm,
then after
about.
that, yeah, and then after that, we get the blood moons and that he's being lowered into it. Like, all of this happens very quickly. All this initial information that would have been just given to you by the game up front. And then we have what what Terry was getting at. A lot of people, a lot of movie reviewers who have a vested interest in this movie not being successful, coming in and just saying that it's boring, that the character's just flipping through manuals, he's trying to figure out the sub and all this stuff. And thing is, I get it. They're expecting they're going in expecting a movie that is a Hollywood production that has the same, you know, like, basically, when you look at a Hollywood movie, there's actually a screenplay template that you follow. This template is so specific that it even has, like, on certain pages that correlate to certain, percentages up through the movie, which most movies are pretty standardized in length at this point. So that correlates to certain literal minute and seconds where some sort of twist happens or some event happens. This is why so many movies these days feel very samey. And this movie, Iron Lung, does not follow that script. So that's why a lot of people, a lot of reviewers, one of the reasons they said it was bad, one of the reasons they said it was boring. They're also the kind of people who I think would have just left the theater beforehand. This is definitely not a situation like the old, what was it, Polaris movie in Russia. A Russian movie, Russian director. He made this movie. I think it was Polaris, and for the first half of the movie, absolutely nothing happens, and then all the interesting stuff happens on the second half. So his that Russian his director's whole thing was all the stupid people left the theater already, so now you can have the good stuff. Uh, that is what a lot of movie reviewers would have you believe about Iron Lung. That's not true. It is engaging. It's just not engaging in the way that they are looking for. So yeah, as Terry said, there's when we look at the inside of the sub, there's the control console in the front. There is the camera switch in the very back. It's a big rectangular button. You got to press it. Looks very industrial. That's one of the things I like about this movie is that everything is just huge and industrial. So they adapted the low res, low poly sort of design that the original Iron Lung had to just be this horrendously industrial, brutalistic system. Yeah, so and it worked great. I like the cinematography in the movie because you really do get the scale that this isn't something where it's just a big set and you're just looking in the set from outside. If you don't know, most movies, how they are set up is you have different versions of the same set from different angles so that this camera can be really zoomed out. So this movie doesn't do that. The set itself was just a big box, essentially, was basically for a form of the sub, and all the cinematography needed to be done inside of the sub. So they had cameras and um, there's a speaker that Markiplier talks to, that the convict talks to, and there's cameras put inside the speaker so they can see through that. There's cameras, I think, that look at him through a bunch of wires in the wall, things like that. So they do make some use of going and being outside of the sub looking in, but it's not something, but it's all done in a way that is intended to be claustrophobic. And that's one of the major differences about this movie and other movies. This movie has that very enclosed feel. Everything's claustrophobic. You feel like you're trapped in this sub with Mark. So that works really well. Um, then they start introducing the mystery, and like after I want to say like maybe 15 minutes, 20 minutes, they are through all of the introduction and they are getting going. So he's going and doing his whole exploration thing, and he's doing exactly what you do in the game, which is really nice. Just as a side note, there is a point where he like picks up the manual and like he flips through it a little bit, and then he just shakes his head and like throws it away, basically puts it back where it was. So he's doing exactly what most players would have done in the Iron Lung game, which is just like look at the manual and be like, I don't need this, and then put it away.
Yeah,
So,
pretty much. Instructions.
so,
I don't need no freaking instructions.
so that was always good. Uh, but yeah, it's a big moon of blood, and uh, like you can't normally see through blood. That's a plot point that comes up later on in the film. But yeah, there's a camera that can see through the blood, and he ends up seeing stuff like bones and stuff like that that he can take pictures of outside of the sub. So it's a really interesting movie in that regard, in that it is faithful to the game and it tries to inherit and use as much of the game's oppressive atmosphere as it can. which is fantastic because that's what you want to see. Yeah. So I guess to look at it from a different perspective, it's it's a few steps down in quality from a major studio production, but it's many steps up in quality from an Asylum Films production. Like Atlantic Rim is something I might compare this to in that that everything takes place in one room, but it's so faithful to the source material that it works perfectly. Does that make sense, guys? So I think they spent 3 million on this film and they've already made like 21 million back.
Yeah, I think I heard like it's made 22 million. So
Yeah,
they
something
made
like that.
over 7 times their budget. So good job. I
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that would be considered a critical success. Like most of the time with film, as long as you make your money back and then some, good enough.
think that's blockbuster levels of like return.
Yeah, yeah. So this is just absolutely insane. But yeah, guys, go out and see it. It's really good stuff.
So good.
Um, but yeah, if you like stories that take place in cramped corridors, if you like characters who are literally just as confused as you are about what they're supposed to be doing and what's going on, you will like this film. If you like films where it's like Top Gun, where like everyone knows exactly what's going on, everyone has perfect information, and you're the odd one out, and you're sort of spoon fed exactly what's supposed to happen at every turn. If those are the movies that you like, you will hate this movie probably. If you like movies that are that are mysteries, if you like movies that are horror, if you like movies that don't spoon feed you literally everything, but allow you to figure it out along with the characters who are just as far in the dark as you are, you'll probably love this movie. So go out and see it. But all right, do you have anything to add on that, Terry, before we head into spoiler territory?
How about what would be talking about special effects at all? Would that be spoiler territory?
No,
Would you could
that works
no?
fine.
Okay. There's not a lot of special effects in there. I would actually say is like special effects. One thing that they did want to do that I think they nailed is they didn't want to use a ton of CGI. I heard they were trying to use the old school like movie making techniques. So they had like models and stuff. They had different ways of like making someone like rise up or get thrown around
Mhm.
inside the lung as stuff happened, and that was just really cool because there's a few times uh where the sub is basically thrown around in a way where Mark's character you can see that the sub is going somewhere up or down very fast just by the fact that Mark lifts up off the ground. He's just like, "Oh shit!" and boom, as it finally lands. It's like stuff like that. Creative choices like that really nailed it for me because that was one of those things. Also, when I said he was like pulled up out of it, there like you could see some of the other people in there, and they're making a very faithful representation of like what you are inside. If there was any question in your mind, like is this an actual blood moon? As they're looking through, I guess like a portico, one of those holes.
Uh, Something like that, yeah. A
There's
viewport.
blood streaming down it just from it rolling off the top of the sub, and they're kind of wiping it constantly to keep looking at Mark. So it's like stuff like that. Really cool special effects. It's so small. It's very small in that regard, but those little details they made so good of an effect. It made it believable that this is all happening to him. So yeah, that's what I would like to add. It's like the special effects. If anyone's wondering, oh, 3 million budget. I don't know if they could do anything good with that. No, they did. They did exactly what they needed to do, and it was amazing. So that's it.
Yeah, the thing that I like mentioning the special effects. So when I talked about the box they had on, guess this works. So, imagine that this is the submarine. I'm holding up a container of tea. They basically built it on hydraulics so that they can maneuver and twist and turn the sub. Maybe like maybe push it up or push it down a little bit. And they had a lot of rigs inside of the sub, as far as I can tell, because there are times when like basically Mark just goes from the front of the sub and just falls all the way to the back of it. And I heavily doubt they're just taking the sub and just turning it like 90 degrees so he falls all the way back there. So they might be, but I don't know if it can actually do that. So what I think they would have done is just like turn it at like a 45 and then have suspension rigs holding on to the top or his legs or whatever, some harness, and make it so they can just slide all the way to the back with like other harnesses, basically keeping him from just actually slamming into it. As movie characters, they can survive almost anything. Real people, you fall 10 feet, you break bones, potentially, especially if you're older. So, but yeah, the practical effects were really nice. And that is what I did enjoy about it quite a bit. It was not tons of CGI. It was, I could not tell if they used many 3D models. I assumed that they did for stuff outside of the ship, but they might have also just, because everything's still frames, they might have used like they might have had somebody like draw or paint it. They might have built a model like a clay or something because it's all black and white anyway, and then used that. But the main thing is that it's the vast majority of it that is interact well, all of it, as far as I can tell, that is interacting with the interior of the sub and the human characters outside of the sub is all going to be practical effects. And as Terry was talking about, the point where the sub gets lifted out of the blood moon and the blood is streaming down, it definitely gives you a very strong idea. It definitely gives you a very strong feeling that this is something that's happening. This is blood that is running off the front of your car after it's rained blood for some reason. This is rainwater that's coming off of your car and just streaming down.
It's a really
So
good compare. That's a really good analogy. Like you
yeah,
just you turn the windshield wipers on just at once as the rain stopped, and then just more water comes streaking down. Just a few streaks, but instead of just clear water, they're bright red blood, and it's like, hmm, that's not normal.
where did I hit?
Where did that come from?
Yeah, but it's just one of those things. The practical effects is primarily what they're going for. There's, the sub is supposed to be watertight or blood tight, I guess, in this case. But blood does get into the sub a little bit here and there, and it's good stuff. There are a few jump scares in the movie. They aren't like egregious or anything. It follows that tradition of in video games where the viewpoint character, in this case the convict, sees someone or something and then is like, "Ugh," and will like hide. That kind of tradition. And it's very it's very frictional games in that, like Soma and Amnesia. It's very much in their whole thing of you don't want to be looking at the thing or whatever it is. So in a sense, you don't know what's real and what's a hallucination, which is really nice. Because if this was a Hollywood movie, whenever like something like that showed up, it would be a big fight with the protagonist. He'd get a wrench or something and just start attacking it, and it would make absolutely no sense. So, from that regard, it's really nice. It's really, really nice. But all right, do we want to head on into spoilers, or is there anything else that we want to add?
And I think everything else would be spoilers that I want to just like boast about. I don't boast the right word.
All right, then, everyone. We'll give you all about, I'm going to say around 30 seconds. And then after that, we will assume that anybody who wants to avoid spoilers has done so.
Yeah.
That's about 10 seconds.
How long does it
Okay,
take them
10
to click
seconds.
off? How long did it take them to click off the video?
I don't know. Probably immediately once we started talking, once we said we were going on to spoilers. But you never know. Some people maybe like they don't have arms. Maybe like Handy from whatever that show was, but the carpenter who has no arms. Uh,
Hmm.
um, and maybe they have to like bite the mouse and move it around and click it off that way. I'm not sure, but
Go running out of the room screaming. No
yeah.
spoilers! No
No.
spoilers! No
Oh.
spoilers!
Oh.
Ah! Well, I think they've evacuated the area.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. So let's go on into spoilers.
Yeah. I started off last time. Why don't you start off this time? How do you want to do
Sure.
it?
So with spoilers, there is essentially the rapture has happened. There really is no hope. Um, the humans who are still alive are desperately trying to find something. But if you look into the actual game's lore, there's not really anything there. There's not supposed to be any humans in this universe right now. Effectively, all life has left. Everything that's supposed to be there has left to the next universe, I guess, like the Rapture. And effectively, hell has caught up to here. Uh, so the characters are literally supposed to be in hell at this point, or something akin to that. So yeah, there are lots of times when the convict finds Simon, as Terry told us earlier. That's his name. And Simon does says some things from time to time. But yeah, he ends up going into compartments in the sub that we don't normally see in the game. He finds like a black box, he finds an engine restart and all kinds of stuff. And it is just as janky an engine restart as you would expect from some piece of garbage. Like you gotta like crank a handle a few times, and then after that you can maybe restart it. So it's very much an emergency restart.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me
Uh,
of, now I'm kind of thinking back to it. I was trying to remember, like, what was it really similar to? It reminded me just now of the, like, generator restart scene in Jurassic Park, where that lady
mhm.
has to run, how, like, everything's turned off, and she has to run to,
Yeah.
like, this generator through the forest, get into this room, and and something pops on. She's like, okay, click, puts it all the way back up. Something's on. He's like, press a button. She's like,
Boop.
boop. Don't make noises. They'll attract the raptors. So stuff like that. So yeah, go ahead, Finn.
Also, what happens when I press this? Raptors out of everywhere.
You just hear this loud alarm. You just hear this loud alarm going, burp, dinner's here. Burp, dinner's here.
All the employees evacuate the power
Well,
supply.
the camera
All
was on.
snacks,
Whoops.
all snacks evacuate the power plant.
uh,
Hungry dinosaurs are outside. But yeah, and so yeah, that's what it reminds me of. I was thinking maybe more aliens. I don't know if they do that, and
hmm,
I think
I
they do
don't,
it in like Aliens, maybe Alien, where they have to like
maybe
get a generator going. I think what's supposed to be happening is like
remember that though.
there's like some sort of tensioned rope in there, and as they're pulling the lever, it's putting more tension into the rope. So when they press the button, it just shoots basically.
Yeah,
and
you do.
like spins a generator up to make electricity or something. Um, but that's just me speculating. So yeah, there's that, and all that works fine. They get at a certain point, he sees like a skeleton on the ground, and everyone's confused because there's not supposed to be any life here. And he gets pulled up into the ship, I guess, into whatever is pulling him up. And yeah, that's where he has the whole thing where he's talking to these people. They're wiping away blood, and he presses the camera button. Now the thing is, remember, he's in an ocean of blood. You can't see anything through blood. So as it turns out, this camera is like an X-ray gun or a gamma ray gun or something. I think they say X-rays.
Yeah, they say it's a very powerful X-ray gun that's
Yeah.
used, and yeah, in that moment, Markiplier's character is crashing out something hard. He's
Hmm.
flipping out. He's like, "Get me out of here! I don't want to be in here anymore. You said I was going to come back alive. I was like, that's supposed to be the first. You said I was the first one. There's other people down here. Like, what the fuck? You're
Hmm.
lying to me." Just going crazy. And finally, he's
Yeah.
like hitting everything, and finally just hits the button, and that's when the lady, speaking to him, is like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah. Yeah. They're just like, why would you do that? And he's clearly confused because
He
understand
didn't even think of
the convict is not supposed to be the smartest man. He's not supposed to realize that this isn't a magic camera that just normally sees through blood. He kind of thinks it is. He doesn't understand. So then they explain that it's an X-ray gun and that he just essentially killed that one guy who was right next to it and heavily irradiated everybody else. And the whole thing that comes up here is that the commander, there's this lady who's the commander. She just isn't giving him that information ahead of time. But her second in command was like, "Hey, if it was up to me, I would have told you all this stuff ahead of time. Would have been more briefing." But think about it. That would that would mean that it would not be that the viewer would not be in the dark as much as Mark, as the convict, as Simon. So, from a storytelling perspective, keeping us in the dark works a bit better. So, beyond that, they send him back down with like this harpoon to get a sample of something. He succeeds in that, and then basically gets attacked by this thing and disappears. The whole sequences where he's being chased by something, the sub has a proximity alert on it,
Mhm.
and in the game you can see this quite well, and it tells you when there's something near you, if it's in front of the sub, behind it, port or starboard, left or right, I guess. And what's so important about it is that normally this is great for steering. That doesn't really serve any other purpose. But when he's not moving and something goes in front of the ship, to the side of it, and then behind it, and then disappears, there's not supposed to be anything alive down there. So now the convict is looking at this going, holy crap, there's not supposed to be anything alive down here. Just reiterating that to the audience. And then everyone sort of gets that understanding that this is weird. This is odd. There, this is it's like that whole thing you're walking in briny water and you feel something move across your leg. And you
Yeah.
can't see it. And you're just like, what is that? Usually people just get out of the water at that point. Because, if it's a water moccasin, you don't know if it's some sort of
Oh
poisonous
yeah.
animal. You don't know if it's a little alligator or something, and like it's big alligator is going to show up. So, yeah, that's what it is about. But yeah, there's like, he gets lost for a while. He encounters another sub. He finds this essentially rift in space. It's supposed to be like a tree or something, maybe this energy portal.
Yeah.
And before running into the actual adversary, and a lot of the stuff, and also a lot of spooky stuff just happens. What was your favorite spooky moment, Terry?
My favorite spooky part
Yes.
was it's a toss up between the eye when he takes a picture of the eye, and that's like a good jump scare, or when he's beginning to figure out just how kind of insane he's going in the sub when uh where he thinks the speaker has come unplugged, and so there's just someone speaking in his mind, and he starts to realize this is some kind of Lovecraftian creature. It's either that or he's
Mhm.
going batshit crazy. It's like it's a toss up of those. I'm really actually leaning towards the Lovecraftian part because that was like his own inspiration. That was like his own part. That's like the movie, and it makes so much sense. So that's where he expounded, and it made sense in the universe of the movie. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna say when he's finding out that the speaker is unplugged and he's hearing someone, and it's probably like some kind of Lovecraftian thing, or he's going insane, and we don't know which one. But that's it.
What I really what I really liked was the first time he starts losing it. He I think all the lights I think the lights are still on. And essentially I think he hears something coming from the front of the sub and he's in the back. I think he had just gotten the computer online, but there's a computer in the back of the sub, guys. And
Oh
it's
yeah,
basically from the previous person who was put in the iron lung. And so he looks to the front for this sound and he sees like this, I think it's a blood covered sort of character who has like this really weird sort of like extra jaw thing on like the side of their face, and it all looks disgusting and wet, like it's covered in blood or something. And maybe iron, maybe a lung. And so it turns and it starts looking at him, and he freaks out and hides behind the corner, like grabs literally whatever he can. I think it's like a screwdriver or like a wrench or something.
yeah.
And he comes back out and it's gone. And so that's very Soma, that's very Amnesia the Dark Descent.
Yeah. That scene
Yeah.
was really good because he sees it and then it moves beyond like out of sight. It goes into like that little corner where the computer is, and he's just like,
Yeah.
get this, get something. He just spins around. He's like, he's like, it's not there.
Yeah, it's that whole thing. Like when it comes to fear, there's three levels of fear going in ascending order. You have gross out fear, that over here. You have gross out fear, which is sort of the weakest, lowest level of fear that there is. You just see something that's nasty and you go, ooh. Then there's scary fear or horror fear, which is still scary, but that's the monster that's in your face, screaming at you, chasing you. You can look back and see it. It's what a lot of big film companies like to do these days. You can see the monster, you know what it looks like, and for the most part, you're probably thinking, why don't I just get a gun and shoot it?
There's a lot of people
Right?
like to say that. If I were in one of these horror movies, I'd be chasing that bad guy around. I'd be
Yeah,
like, elbow, elbow.
you know, it's the whole thing of like when you look at most horror movies, they don't make any sense because there's like 10 people and there's like 10 adults or near adults and like 16. And then there's like one guy and he's got an axe. It's like, okay, well, there's 10 of you. You could all just like literally get bricks and just start chucking it at him. It'd be like Stonewall. Like he would just go down. You'd break something.
Or
And
like you'd surround him and each of you would just try to be feigning in and out. So as soon as he
yeah,
swung, he's got this long recovery time. As soon as he swings, like the other nine go yeet and go grab
yeah,
him, obtain the arm that he's using. Get the weapon out, just like
yeah. It gets even better if they have any kind of like farming tools or anything because you have a hoe and then you have like the other thing that just has four tines on it that are for those spikes that are sticking
Yeah, the
down.
pitchfork. Yeah.
No, no, no. That's the straight one. I'm thinking about the other one where it's sort of like
Oh, kind
a
of like a hoe and a rake, and I guess a hoeing
yeah,
rake.
yeah,
I
yeah,
guess.
yeah, yeah, something like that. But like, dude, those things are as long as pole arms, and there's no problem of them going through someone's shoulder. And like, they'll stick in a bone, no problem. Bone's
No.
not designed to stop that.
Yeah.
So
But
it's like
plus if you do have like a regular old pitchfork, like when I was
that'll
younger and
work.
we had bags of mulch, I would
Yeah,
just grab that and I just yeet it, and it's like a freaking spear. It would work.
yeah, yeah. It's basically a javelin. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a four-pronged javelin.
it
So
was
I mean,
fun to do.
most monster movies don't make any sense. So that's horror. And if you ever want to see something funny, usually like people who are like veterans or military and they run YouTube channels, they'll make videos about like horror monsters breaking into their house and trying to kill them. And it's hilarious because the first thing they do is they just like immediately just get, strapped and they get locked and loaded. They just kill them all. It's like 10 dudes versus 10 monsters. First monster shows up and gets shot by like 10 people. So so it's hilarious. Uh, but yeah, anyway, so that's horror. And then you have the best form of horror, which is called terror. Terror is, there's a monster there, but you can't put your finger on where it is, where it went, and if it's going to come back. There's no loud footsteps, dum, 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 as it's walking around. As I think, I think Stephen King put it this way: gross out horror is you look down at your hand and you see that your flesh is sort of like rotting off of your hand. And you're horrified because of how gross and disgusting it is. Horror is, or horror, I guess, is a monster behind you who is breathing on the back of your neck and you can feel it. And you can see his hands coming out in front of you to grab you. Terror horror is, the monster is behind you because you can feel it's back there. It's back there, guys. But when you turn around, it's not there.
Look up behind you.
But you know it's there. You know it was there. You know it could come back at any time. That's terror. And terror works phenomenally for really freaking people out. So the movie straddles the line between, it has a little bit of gross out horror, it has a little bit of horror, and it has a little bit of terror horror. And having a mix, fantastic. The terror is the slow burn. The gross out is just when weird stuff is happening, and the horror is when you have your high points. And so
Mhm.
that works really well. All right, what do you have to what do you have, Terry?
Let's see. You pretty much said a whole lot of it. uh, Probably some of the other things I would add are just elements from the movie, which I think really sold it and made it really cool. Uh, how like I think it was in the game too when they tested the blood on these blood oceans. They found out that it was actual human blood. It wasn't just red colored liquid, it was actual human blood. They tested it, and it's like, oh, this is human blood. Where did this come from? It's an entire moon. It's the fourth one we found. That shouldn't be a thing. So there's that. Uh, the other part that you were talking about, I really like the scenes where it had the leak start coming in. Let's see. Let me go back. Let me go back to the front. Um, yeah, that part. Yeah, the part that I like most about the movie so far, I think, is where he's been lifted up and he's just shot these guys with the X-ray camera, and you can hear the anger and the kind of the disbelief of the commander, the commanding woman, because she's like, I can't fucking believe he like shot everyone. Like you just irradiated this guy. You probably just killed all of us. And he's like, huh? What? What? Huh? Huh? Like he has no clue. And then she's so angry. It's like, are we done here at putting this like harpoon to the front of the sub? And they're like, yeah. And she's like, okay, good. Drop him. And they just let go. You hear the outside of the sub just kind of have something let go, and Mark's character just like rises up. And he's like, "Oh shit, I'm falling, I'm falling, I'm falling, I'm falling," and then boom! Like that's the part. I think that's my favorite part.
Yeah, that
It's
part was really nice.
That part was really fun. And then he's just going through and yeah, looking at everything like, what the fuck is that? Then he's going through, yeah, like you were saying, the the horror aspect of like the guy being there, and it's when he starts going insane. He goes around, and he has to dive down underneath because the engine's been ruined. That's those creative aspects. They made a really, really good area for him to jump down into because that looks just as like I've worked in a lot of like areas that are industrial. I've worked in a power plant a few times. I'm currently taking a machining class, and this legitimately looks like the set they made for him to go down there, crawl through this space, and try to get to like this restart. That looks just like you would imagine it would look like. I can, and actually having worked in a power plant, I can tell you they got the grate, they've got everything that they needed to really sell that this is an industrial, you know, iron sub lung with something you have to go crawl down into this tight claustrophobic space just to turn back on. So
Hmm.
the set design so good, and like I said, that's something that you don't find in the game, but it makes so much sense, and it adds to like the drama, the suspense, and then later on, I love how that shows back up later on because down there, what he didn't see before, or at least what we didn't see, or maybe we just didn't recognize that's what it was. There's a black box, just like there are in airplanes. There's a black box, and there's this other sub that he's not even supposed to know about.
He finds the black his own black box the first time he goes down there.
Oh, he does? Oh, okay.
Yeah, he specifically like mentions it, but I don't think he like goes and messes around with it all a lot. He's just
No,
like,
I'm
"Oh,
not.
there's a black box down here." Oh,
Oh,
okay.
cool. I probably missed that. It was
Yeah.
probably just, I didn't recognize it was the black box, that they say it's like has all the records and information on it. I thought it was just,
Yep.
what is this black box doing down here? Like it just happens to be a box that is black, not the black box. But I love how that little area becomes like one of the more stereotypical, like I guess Hollywood tricks, kind of like suspense tricks, kind of like real similar to um, I think the first Star Wars film where you see the explosion come out of the Death Star and then the Millennium Falcon shoots out and you're thinking, "Oh no, the Millennium Falcon got blown. Oh, there it is. Never mind." It's one of those like you see the blood cuz at that point in the movie, going back to Iron Lung, in the part of Iron Lung that I'm talking about where they've returned to that little area, there's been this massive leak of blood into the sub, into the lung, and it's literally filling up. Like you see in the game, it's filling up to like to your ankles, not to your ankles, to like your knees, maybe your waist. In the movie, the blood's coming in, but it's draining down into that little area that Mark's got to go into. And he's been told by the other lady that he needs to, and he's already achieved this, go back down to where that sub was, that other sub that he's not supposed to know about. I think SM8. Go back down there, find that again, connect to it with a computer that you shouldn't have access to, uh, and then go into that little area underneath, get the black box, and then pull it out. And he's connected to it. He's connected to the computer on the other sub. He's downloaded all the information. The leak's already started and it's been going on. And he pulls open this hatch so he can go down and get it. He just sees he's got like an inch or two of air, and he's just like, oh, fuck! And he knows he's got to go down in there to get it because that's the only reason she might come and get him. So he's like, I gotta go. I gotta go. And it's actually one of those really good storytelling techniques, I think, is one of them, like, this is, I guess, usually is like the point of, like, the hero has to decide, am I gonna go do this? Or am I not? Am I gonna go try to change my life, my future, and, grow as a character? Or am I just gonna stay the same, just puss out? And he's like, I gotta go fucking go for it.
I
So
mean, it's
he,
it's not only that, but like he doesn't have a choice. The deal
oh,
is he gets them the black box, or they don't even bother picking him back up.
yeah. But yeah, that's
Yeah.
the point where he looks at it and it's like, I know I got to go down there, and so he jumps down, and you see it. It's like you've seen it in a bunch of other movies, but it's such a classic, where it's his mouth just above the surface, and he's, and then finally there's no more, and then it shows the outside of the shows the full room that most of the movie and the entire game takes place in, and it just shows like that compartment. The hatch is open. The blood just kind of goes bloop, piles up out of it, and you're like, "Oh no! Did he drown? Did Mark's character drown?" And a black box explodes up, and Mark comes up, covered in blood, and it's so
Oh
fucking
no!
good.
Oh no! Did he drown? There's 30 minutes of credits after this.
Right?
Yeah, yeah, I hear you. There are also times where he, I think like the monster is no, I think it's when he goes into like that rift a little bit, and he's outside of the sub. He gets a vision of himself like standing, I guess, on the surface of the blood ocean.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's looking up at something. I don't remember if he sees an eye over there or if there's like something off in the distance. But I do think he sees like the rift or so.
You see
And
something. I do
yeah,
believe
and
it's
he's
something
just soaked
huge.
in blood.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something huge. And so it's really nice because again, this is just stuff you don't see in this is just stuff you don't see in big budget Hollywood movies.
Yeah, Hollywood, yeah,
It's
they take a story and they change it to suit themselves or suit who they want to cast. And you mentioned Borderlands 3, and that's a really good reference. Just bring us back to that real quick. Another really
mhm.
good one that I think pissed off so many gamers was Final Fantasy. It was an animated movie, but
Oh yeah.
yeah, that one, they did. I'm not a huge Final Fantasy fan, uh, but the people who are Final Fantasy fans and who went and watched that, there's like, they mutilated the franchise. I don't even think there was anything related to the games in that particular movie. They just took the title Final Fantasy and slapped that onto a movie that they had made and thought that's going to make us money. It was a total bait and switch.
To
Because
an
that's
extent,
that's what I think.
the
That's what I think. I remember hearing for the most part. It was a bait and switch. Not
so
certain, but that's what I heard. Came down
so
to.
that movie was back in like the 90s, if I remember correctly.
Mhm.
Maybe the odds. But yeah, that movie they still had a lot of their big themes. Remember that like Final Fantasy has this tradition of having like the planet is its own soul, basically. Usually
I
it's
think there
called
was another
Gaia.
one called Advent Children because I think there were two Final
That
Fantasy
one's
movies.
Advent Children is just Final Fantasy VII. That one did really well.
Yeah, I think that was a different
People
one than
like
what I'm
that one.
thinking of.
Yeah, the one you're thinking of is was older.
Mm.
And so yeah, there's this whole theme that shows up across Final Fantasy, which is essentially natural spiritual stuff is good, and then technology tends to be considered bad, especially when it's taken too far. And so we go to like Final Fantasy 7. Literally the soldiers or whatever they're called, and Sephiroth and Geneva,
Where's
whatever
mother?
yeah, whatever its name was. Like those things are literally Genova's literally an alien that crashes on planets and eats them. Like it just absorbs all the life energy out of a planet and then it basically destroys the planet and then goes to a different planet. So it's very much something of technology from outside of our spiritually awakened world coming in and destroying things. And this is reflected throughout most of the Final Fantasy games. If we go with Final Fantasy 14, the critically acclaimed MMO, the if we if we go with that one, like who are the bad guys? The Garlean Empire. Why are they the bad guys? Well, they use evil magic technology that has ruined the world, I think at this point, multiple times over. Like they brought in their dark eras of like chaos and calamity. And that's kind of just it's stuff from outside of the universe coming in, or so stuff that's impure or unnatural coming in and destroying things. So that's really the big theme of Final Fantasy across their entire series. Um, so if we go back to Iron Lung, the ending of Iron Lung is really nice. So our boy the convict, he don't make it. You don't make it in the game either. There's no way to survive. So the commander lady, she gets in her own sub after the convict gets the black box and he's wrapping it around in like this life jacket. So you know there is something about this. Iron Lung does have a little bit of like weird time going on. So I suspect that there's like an aspect of the convict coming back in time to set stuff up or to convince someone to put stuff in in the sub. I think there's some like weird timey-wimey stuff going on here because there's a life preserver jacket. There's a life jacket in the sub for some reason. Now, my understanding is this this blood moon goes blood vacuum. That's how I understand it to be. I don't think there's an atmosphere above the blood. So a life jacket does you absolutely no good because you're either drowning in blood or you're suffocating in a vacuum. There's there's no in between here.
Sounds
So
fun.
yeah. Yeah. So, you know, why is that stuff there? Why is everything that he needs conveniently there? Why is he seeing these specters like show up? Why is he getting visions of literally what's going to happen later in the film? Like the whole point that Terry was talking about when he like pushes the black box out of the blood and like pops out of it. It's like, you know, the, the whole thing is you see some of that in visions before this, but Mark's character, the convict, has absolutely no idea what it is, and he's just terrified. So there's a little bit of weird timey wimey stuff going on here that which is nice. It's it's not uh, a s- it's not a chronological. It's just this is stuff that is going back in time to um, I guess help him in
it's
its own way.
it's kind of like he went back in his own way to random bits of time while he was in the sub, and like at these different moments he would pop in and like do something that's going to help himself in the future when he's actually in there. I think that's what you're trying to say, right?
I mean, maybe, but I suspect that this is stuff where he's already dead. He
Yeah.
dies at the end, by the way, guys. And
Just like in the game, he gets eaten by a fish. Just really,
yeah,
real, real
and
well
so
done.
yeah, and so I suspect that's what's going on a little bit. But the ending is very bitter in that way. In that, sure they get this black box, sure they get a lot of the research off the research sub from the black box because they copied a lot over. Sure, it gets picked up by the survivors, but at the same time, there's not enough of them left to really reproduce and take and like survive in this universe. Two, they can't eat the blood or consume the blood in any way because if people do, they go crazy and die. That happens in the video file from the other sub, well, the audio file that he hears. One of the scientists or their assistant drinks some of the blood, and then horrible things happen to them.
Mm.
Um, there's it's a really bleak setting, which is fantastic because if this was a Hollywood movie, it would not be a bleak ending. They would
No.
probably like shoot a nuke down there to blow up the monster or something stupid like that. And
The world's biggest depth charge.
we've
Exercise.
just
You're in the depth charge. Mark's like, no. Boom.
we've done it. We defeated the monster. Now, what shall we do next?
Find the next
And then
one. Oh
they're
no.
yeah, if it was a Hollywood movie, they would just, at the end like an even bigger monster. Whoa, would like come out of the blood moon. You could see the entire base, and it attacks the base
Yeah, if this
or
were
something.
a Hollywood
And then it would be
movie, if
like,
this were like a Hollywood movie, that they would probably have like Markiplier's about to be eaten, his character's about to be eaten, the sub's about to be destroyed, and then like you hear like king, 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 and he's like, oh, what is that? Oh no, oh, what is it? Oh no, and then he gets pulled up, and he sees like the portico, you know, starts becoming clear, streams of blood going down it again, and it's like you can see the sky or whatever, he sees a helicopter or whatever. Now, and this one's just you. We really don't even know if she picked it up because
so
she
she's
said she's
dead.
going to pick it
Remember?
up. Yeah,
So
she's
she's
dead,
dead. Yeah,
but yeah, she's supposed to have picked it up. But
it's her second in command.
yeah, or someone is supposed to go pick it up. We don't know if it actually gets picked up or not because our point of view character, Simon Markiplier's character, he dies. So we don't really know what happens. Just the idea is someone's supposed to go get this black box and hopefully get you out of that sub that you're welded
Yeah.
into. So we don't really
Yes.
know if that happens. It could just be a big lie.
So yeah, guys, what they do is what Mark does is he basically duct tapes, not duct tape. He like takes one of his jackets. He takes his black box, puts the life preserver around it, and then basically like wraps up the life preserver and the black box. And at the end of the movie, he's like, okay, well, this monster has me. I'm going to die. There's nothing I can do. I need to get this off the sub. And so he opens the portico, and blood starts flooding into the sub, and he manages to get the black box outside of it as he's effectively drowning, right? As he's dying on the surface, as he's dying inside of his sub as it's filling up with blood. Also, the blood's supposed to be very hot, so he might be getting cooked to death as well. Who knows? But yeah, the black box makes its way to the surface of the blood moon, and at the very end, this like light comes over it, and he's like, and the second in command says something along the lines of, "All right, I see it. Let's go get it," or something like that. So the implication is that
Hmm,
they go and they pick it up and they analyze
remember
the
that.
information. The However, the game setting is all intelligent life has already like all life in the universe and all matter in the universe has left. So there is no hope.
Hmm,
We're all screwed. Um,
pretty much.
so we're all going to die out here, and these blood moons are just whatever they could find. So I really think it's supposed to just be like this is literally hell that they are in,
You think
and it
it's
is
like the
hopeless.
apocalypse, or is like post-apocalypse?
This would be post-apocalypse.
Okay.
Not in like the um. So whenever you hear post-apocalyptic, that really just is referring to like some sort of calamity happened and people are rebuilding. Like that's usually what post-apocalyptic means. So
There's no
like the
rebuilding
lost,
in this.
yeah. So it's like The Last of Us. It's like The Walking Dead, uh, stuff like that. This is more akin. If we were to put it as post-apocalyptic, this would be more akin to a comic that I saw years ago. I don't know if it's still going, but it basically just had dudes in gas masks in this completely devastated world, and they sort of looked like World War I soldiers,
Hmm.
maybe two. And their whole thing was they never took off their gas masks, so you never knew what they actually looked like, and they're just sort of going around in the apocalypse doing their thing. But this is like post rapture. So
Yeah.
remember, all the stars are gone, all the planets are gone, all the people are gone, and the only people who are left are those who were in space stations at the time. So all the natural stuff has disappeared, and only the unnatural stuff is left behind. So they might have been going for something like that, but yeah, the whole idea of ghost light and eventually there's not going to be any light in the universe because it's all going to have passed by you, and then there's just shooting off into the nether for forever. The idea that there are these blood moons and that's the only new stuff that has shown up. It's like, what created them? We don't know. Why are they hot? Who cares?
Hmm.
What are the monsters? Well, there's two monsters, and then there's a weird phenomenon going on.
Yeah.
So, yeah, who really knows? Um,
I think
yeah.
that's pretty much the movie. Now, one thing I want to bring up before we call it for the video is the credits. Did you
So
stay
yeah,
for the
the
credits?
I didn't stay for the end of the credits, but yeah,
Uh,
there's the whole thing of when the movie ends, you're sort of waiting for that whole like point that shows up in a lot of movies. It was what it was alluded to when he's going out of the vents, out of the like understructure, the substructure, where he gets the black box and it's filling with blood. So the black box comes out, and then he comes out, and that kind of thing. You're
mhm.
kind of expecting that at the very end of the movie because you've been conditioned to like expect that kind of stuff.
Oh, like
You
a
hear
post-credit
always so
scene, you
much,
mean?
right? No, just before the credits, when you see the black box,
Uh,
and you're expecting something like that, and then it doesn't happen. It just goes straight to credits, which is nice.
yeah.
So, what happens in the post credits? Just so people can hear about it.
Well, there are no post-credit scenes. Sorry to disappoint you.
That's good.
But during the credits, when the credits are playing, uh, all along it, mostly on the sides, there are these like uh Polaroid pictures with like a little white space on the bottom
Oh,
to write people's names. They're
I
just
remember that. Yeah.
they're coming up and kind of lingering for a second, and then they go up, and there's another one. It come up, and it's all the people that it took me a little bit to figure it out because I'm a dumb dumb, but it's a lot of the friends and family and supporters and editors that Mark's had along the years, over the years, along his YouTube adventure, his career. There's like all these little Polaroid pictures and just come up, and some of them are not like the actual pictures. I remember seeing Lixian, and you could see like
Yeah.
his drawing, and it's
Yeah. Yeah.
like oh dude, it's Lixian. Oh, so all the people that have helped him. Wink by Lix. And then at the very end, it's got Mark, Amy, Chica, and Henry. And I was looking once I figured out who it was, like what it was. I was looking for like everyone. I was looking
Hmm.
for Bob. I was looking for Wade. I think I remember seeing Molly, which is the wife of one of those two.
Hmm.
Uh, I was really, and then after the movie on the drive home, I started thinking like Markiplier. Gosh, probably 10 years ago now. He had this friend in North Carolina that uh, how do we say it without getting strict or anything? He
He went to the great iron lung in the sky.
yeah, from his own hand by his own hands.
I gotcha.
And I think it was Jontron, but I'm not sure. But I was wondering, like, is he on there? Was he in one of those Polaroid pictures that were going up? Because he was a huge part of Markiplier for a while. He was doing collaborations with Mark for a while. Mark was doing collaborations on his channel for a while. I remember there was Team Edge and some other guys. Maybe Matt Pat had to be in there. I was wondering, like, were all the Team Edge people in there that he had done pictures? Like, I would like to go see it again. I'd like to see the credits again, which I could probably do on YouTube. Uh, and just look for people, see who he included. So that was really really sweet. Like he did like this wonderful tribute to everyone that helped him, and I thought that was really sweet. And it's totally a Markiplier way of doing it too, because it was so kind of natural in a way. It's like how someone would do it if they just had to just be like, "Here's this friend who was here," and bye. And also just including everyone because he wants to include everyone he can. I remember him saying, because I'm a huge Mark fan, I remember him saying many years ago that when his channel grew to a certain point and he realized he wouldn't be able to interact with his fans on a more personal uh, basis, he literally cried. And I know Markiplier crying is a meme at this point, but it was a huge thing for him that he couldn't interact with his fans on that more personal basis because his channel was getting so big, and that was like something that he felt, you know, he was going to lose, and it really, really deeply affected him. So,
Yeah. So talk about JonTron. So it was his brother. It was about maybe 8.5 years ago. His brother, he went to the great iron lung in the sky, I
like
suppose,
Markiplier's
by
brother.
his own mind. No, JonTron's brother.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh,
But yeah, there were other things that were going on. I just looked it up real quick.
yeah.
But yeah, it is. It's one of those things that it's one of those things that's extremely difficult to like talk about,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a lot of misinformation about it. But yeah, just as a side note, guys, if you ever have any thoughts like that, just go to the hospital. They can go to a therapist, go to someone who can help you.
There's also
It's yeah, there are resources out there to help you. There's hotlines, everything.
yeah hotlines. Give him a call. Give him a text. Uh, Even just if you're really feeling that bad, just get out of the house. Go
Yeah,
for a
go for a
walk.
walk.
Uh, just get away from anything sharp, anything you could use to hurt yourself.
Yeah, keep in mind that if you do ever end up in a hospital, your employer, at least in the U.S., is not allowed to fire you, to my understanding. If you have a mental health crisis, they're not allowed to just fire you. A lot of them will, and then you sue them, and you make a ton of money. But yeah, it's one of those things where they're not supposed to be able to just toss you out because because you're dealing with some stuff.
Yeah, had a mental
So
health crisis because we all have them.
yeah,
We all have them.
yeah, you will have a mental health crisis at least at one point in your life, most likely,
Mm,
unless you are just absolutely blessed.
yeah, I
And
think most people call it the midlife crisis. That's like the big one.
um,
I think that's what it's called.
mm,
They still call it that, or is that am I thinking like too far ahead?
no, you're thinking of something else. I think so. A mental health crisis literally just look at it like this: you got a bucket. This bucket has little like holes in the in the bottom, and so it just very slowly drains. And life is being poured into that bucket, and when things are going well, it's draining faster than it's filling. But you have traumatic events that happen to you, bad events that happen to you, and that causes sand that can't go through the holes to just start like filling the bucket. And
Mm.
so this stress bucket, if you will, eventually it starts filling up to the point that just pouring normal life into it is starting to cause the bucket to get really close to the top. And so that chronically stresses people out. And eventually what happens is that bucket overflows and then you have a mental health crisis, which causes some of that sand to effectively become cement. And it stays there until you go to a therapist and help break it up and get rid of it. And yeah, for some people, their bucket is basically just full of sand. And so they just cannot operate, and just opting out, I suppose, um, is the preferable option for them to, compared to dealing with life on a continual basis. It's something like there is help, there is medication you can be prescribed. There's like an army of therapists who are happy to help you. People don't become therapists because they want your money. They become therapists because they want to get paid a lot, but also help people. Uh, you know, um,
Yeah.
counselors you can talk to, all kinds of stuff. There are resources out there to help you. You just need to find them, and don't trust people who tell you that you shouldn't. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Whenever and also understand that there are so many barriers put in the way between you and getting the treatment that you need. You still need to overcome those barriers. You still need to go get that treatment. If you don't have any kind of insurance or anything that can pay for that treatment, it's, as far as I understand, most medical debts are dischargeable through bankruptcy. So go get done what you need to get done.
And there are free
If you,
resources too, like the call,
yeah,
like the hotlines and chats.
yeah,
Those are free. They could probably even give you a lot of resources, a lot of advice after the immediate crisis is taken care of. They might be able to give you some advice on how to get some in person advice. So
yeah. And beyond those, there are also a lot of programs that are just funded by grants that are intended to give you free, that are intended to provide these services to you for free.
yeah,
So, yeah,
I didn't know about
if
that.
you are at
That's
the
good.
point where you just don't qualify for a lot of things, or you don't have the money to pay for them, you probably qualify for Medicaid at that point. So that would be go
Hopefully,
down to your local Medicaid office and ask them what you need to do to sign up, and they can pretty much just hand you it.
yeah, hopefully,
So yeah, there's a ton of resources out there. You are not alone. You are
yeah,
loved. People
yeah.
care about you.
And if you think that you're the only one going through whatever shit you're going through, you're not. You're definitely not.
No.
It might feel unique to you. You might have a pretty unique situation with everything that you're going through, but for the most part, I mean, the vast majority, like 99% of like what you're going through, someone else is going through that, and the 1% is like very specific to you. So if you ever feel like you're alone, you're not. Uh, if you do go in for therapy, I haven't been. I should, but probably should. I think everyone could. I think Rhett and Link put it like this: you don't need to have a problem to go to therapy. It's designed, if you're not in a crisis, it's designed to help you just live a better life, just to live your best life. So don't believe the stigma that boomers would tell you, which is you only go to therapy if you're crazy, because that's a lot of horse shit.
Also,
So
let's just think about the stress bucket real quick. The therapist helps you get a gardening trowel, like a little hand shovel, and scoop out the sand that's filled up in your stress bucket. Like that's what they're kind of helping you do. So it's definitely one of those things where even if it's not really bad yet, it could get really bad. And so going to a
Yeah.
therapist just to help you get stuff off your chest, just to help you scoop stuff out of your stress bucket and get rid of it is extremely useful. Or, mitigate it to where it isn't gonna cause a problem
Yeah.
later. But yeah, um,
Yeah. So definitely, I think everyone should at least go to some therapy just to see, not when they're stressed out, but just live their best life. I
yeah,
still need to work up the courage to do it because I'm in my 40s, so I'm right on the edge of like that those two frameworks of mind, and of course there's the logical and then there's the emotional. Trying to figure out how to get it through. So
yeah. And guys, yeah, like going to a therapist, don't think that therapists have seen pretty much anything you're gonna throw at them, anything and everything. Okay, they have. It's like therapists are kind of like nurses in that regard. If you work in healthcare, you've seen a lot of stuff that you can't talk about. Also, therapists are covered by HIPAA. If they talk about your personal story, that's uh, that's going to be like a 10 grand fine at minimum, and maybe a threat to their license. So,
there's also the thing where they go through a lot of schooling for this, and they're given a lot of scenarios that they have to read about. So more than likely, when you come with any issues you're going through, they're not going to be in the back of their mind. They are not going to be going, "Wow, this guy's a case." It's going to be, "Oh, okay, this is pretty Joe average." It's not going to be like some edge case, fringe case where it's like, "This is really way out there. This guy's off it." Nah, nah, no. It's just going to be like, "Oh, this is like a really common issue."
yeah,
Yeah.
most of the time, the issues that you'll have are very common issues. Yeah,
Especially if you go when they are small issues. If you delay it, then it could get really bad. But even then, I
yeah.
don't think
Also,
it's going to be horrible to the point where they're just like, "Oh, damn, case study here."
yeah. Also, keep in mind that not all therapists are made equal. So, if you go to a
Yeah,
therapist and it just doesn't work for you, you can just tell them, like, "Hey, I don't think this is working for me. You have any other recommendations?"
yeah,
And like the vast majority of therapists will be like, "Yeah, here you go. Here's a list of everyone that I know. Some people like this people, some people like those people. This therapist I've heard is really nice, is really great." So yeah, just keep in mind they're gonna have like 25 to 30 slots,
mhm,
and if you're filling that slot, great. If you decide to not fill that slot and go to a different therapist, fantastic. They
yeah,
are there because they want you to get better, not because they want to milk you. It's literally a scenario where any kind of therapy starts with them already trying to plan how they terminate the therapy. Not in a bad way, in a this is where we want you to get to. This is your point of maximal benefit, I guess. Maximal health, maximal, whatever. Maximal return, I guess. This is the point where we want to get to this. And once we, and so the entire therapy is just built getting you from where you are to that point of termination to where you're good.
yeah.
that was
I,
uh
I,
that was interesting.
I do want to touch on again, like there's an actual word for if you don't work well with your therapist, or counselor. The word is transference, and it's basically whenever one person reminds you very strongly of someone else, and you already have like a feeling about that other person that they remind you of, and those feelings cross over onto the person that you're speaking with. Those feelings from the other person that, to say, you don't like, you think they're annoying, those feelings transfer over to, say, your therapist, and you kind of feel annoyed by them just because of like the annoyance you felt from the other person, and you can't separate those two emotionally. And it can go both ways. Like it might be you feel that way about your therapist, but your therapist could also feel that way about you. And then another thing, if it's not transference, it could just be your personalities just don't get along. It could be that you have to wrong that you're trying to do the wrong therapy, and hopefully your therapist or counselor would actually be like, I think you need us to be more to get you closer to where you need to be. I think you need a type of therapy that I don't do, and it's going to benefit you a whole lot more. And it's not your fault. It's not my fault. It's just I don't offer the kind of therapy that's going to benefit you the most. So, so those are two things I remember when I was in school. But I wanted
Yeah,
to point those out.
to add to that, how it usually works is when you go into a therapy office, um, the first time you go in, there will be the assessment where they really talk to you, fill out a questionnaire, that kind of thing, to figure out what's going on. And then this might be up to like an hour or so where they're just talking to you, finding out what you want to talk about, what your goals are with coming into therapy. Um,
Like an
most of the
assessment
time
or an
when
interview, huh?
Yeah, most of the time when people come in, they are like one string away from, going mountain climbing without any equipment, right?
Hope
So,
not. Fuck. I hope
like
not.
that's usually
I
where
think we
people
just
are
spent
at.
the last 10 minutes saying, "Don't get there.
Don't get there.
Don't get to
But
that point."
yeah, but in America, that's where most people get to, especially men. So
Yeah, that's where a lot of
yeah,
stigma
it,
comes from.
it's definitely one of those situations where, okay, so you go in, you get this assessment done, and then they basically will tell you, okay, well, these are the three strategies based on what you were telling me your issues are. These are the strategies that are likely to work for you, potentially. There's evidence backing this. I think this is what is going on. And these three strategies that I'm going to put in front of you are the therapies or strategies that will work, that evidence shows will work for this specific issue.
Yeah,
So, and then they will explain each one to you, what each one entails, and then they'll let you choose. And if you decide, after a few weeks you want to try a different one, that's fine.
yeah,
If you try all three of them and you decide, none of those three work for me, they'll say, okay, well, here's the other three that I found that might work, that I know how to do.
yeah,
And if you go through all of that and nothing works, they might say, maybe you should go see a psychiatrist or a clinical psychologist because maybe this is a master's level therapist. Maybe you have something else going on that I'm just not picking up on. And what you're experiencing is actually the effect of that different issue. And so we need to figure out what that underlying issue is first. Because it's entirely possible, by the way, that the symptoms you're having could be eliminated almost entirely, if not entirely, by just taking medication.
mm,
Because maybe you have an underlying issue. Maybe you have, something going on. One part of your brain doesn't produce enough dopamine, a different part produces way too much dopamine, and having something that moderates that might fix a lot of your issues. So, yeah,
All right.
never really know.
Well, I think that was good, Finn. I think we gave a good review and then encouraged people, everyone, to go ahead
Yeah,
and if they need to, go get some help.
indeed. Just remember, therapists aren't scary and they aren't judging you.
Yeah. Actually,
Yeah,
the few times I've met therapists in the wild, it's actually they've been really cool, calm people, and
yeah,
they have some insight. So if you're cool interacting with someone who seems to not be picking your mind, but it's just they kind of like understand and kind of pick up on like the little signals that you let off, then yeah, you're getting along well with the guy or woman.
yeah.
Yeah.
But all
All
right,
right,
everyone. My name has been Fun Weir. This has been
Iron Lung Review with
Terry Candlestick
and Terry
and including
Candlestick.
the. This
I
has
have
been our
been
Iron
Terry
Lung review.
Candlestick, and this has been our Iron Lung Review.
Indeed. All right, everyone. We will see you later. Bye,
And then
everyone.
see you in the next round, everyone.